Okay, welcome to the Bears Gym. We are in Bible study mode today. There's a sense of excitement in the air. We are in Exodus chapter 39. We are getting very close to wrapping up the book of Exodus. I'll tell you the excitement. Knut shares the excitement. He's ripping apart his little possum doll thing there. He's really excited about this whole thing that's happening here. And so with that, Exodus chapter 39. And the blue and purple and scarlet, they made clothes of service to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron as the Lord commanded Moses. If you go to the time period in the Gospels where Jesus is standing before the rulers and being dragged in and out, if you remember, they clothe him with a purple garb. Verse 2 of Exodus 39. And he made the ephod of gold, blue, and purple, once again, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. Ephod was this would be like my Cabela's Carhartt insulated hooded sweatshirt that I wear year round just because. I do. It's my thing. I can keep my little handkerchiefs and my little fancy toothpicks in the pockets. I can put, when I'm hiking, I can put waters in there and gloves and hats. And but the priests had their little ephod, and they had little doodads that were connected to it, and we're going to get to that. And they did beat the gold into thin plates and cut it into wires to work it in the blue and the purple and the scarlet and the fine linen with cunning work, very skilled work. So they had actual gold that they hammered out, poured out, then hammered out, and then they cut little fine strips, and then they worked it into wire and thread, and they weaved it in with the cotton, silk, linen, and made beautiful things with it. The gold actually was like the thread. Like in those days when they pour the wine from vessel to vessel, they would have had, like we have now, little screens that they would take and they would hammer out brass or bronze. If they're really rich, they could use gold, hammer it out, and then twist it into little thin wires and make little screens to get out the sediment. Well, here they would do the same principle, but they would make thread out of the gold. They could put it on their little chest piece, and the chest piece is going to be pretty cool. They're going to have a lot of stuff on it for the priest to wear. And they made shoulder pieces right here, like the military sometimes, especially their show uniform. They have kind of shoulder pieces on it where they can put their gloves and their marching band things, and all that. And they made shoulder pieces for it to couple it together by the two edges was it coupled together. And the curious girdle of his ephod, the girdle is kind of like the military and the police. They wear the armored, the Kevlar vests, sometimes a jacket, and it's got cool little things. They can put holsters, and they can keep ammo in there, their radio, their sidearm, So that was kind of like the girdle, just something closed together. Like I said, Knut's really excited about this whole event. So the girdle, special gold girdle of his ephod was upon it, was of the same according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet. and fine twined linen as the Lord commanded Moses. And they wrought onyx stones enclosed in little holders, little pouches of gold. And the onyx stones were graven. You know, how they could engrave, you know, gems and crystals and diamonds is beyond me, but they did. And they engraved on them the names of the children of Israel. That's skill. That skill I do not have. Very few people do. That they were able to do it in that day without, you know, engraving tools and mechanisms. You know, with little punches and little hammers and they wrought the onyx stones in the pouches, graven as signets are graven with the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones for memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. It was foursquare, and they made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, being doubled. You had the cubit, we talked about, which is from your elbow to the tip of your finger, usually of the king of the moment, which was anywhere from 16 to, I think we measured, do we have time to measure? Yeah, let's measure it again. The span of the hand was like this, and so the span, was about 9 inches, and then the cubit, we are looking here, 18, 19, 20, 22-ish, yeah, something like that. So a really tall king cubit would be like 24 inches. I'm just an average, kind of anorexic, middle-sized bear. There are way taller bears than me. But the span is 8-ish, 8, 9 inches. And then the cubit was anywhere from 16 to 24 inches. And about 9 inches for the span of the hand. Okay, and they doubled it up, and they set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row, okay, so you had the shoulder piece, they had the little garment, you had the ephod, and then they had mounted on it the onyx stone that had names written in it of the children of Israel. Now we have gems that represent each of the children of Israel, 12 altogether, in 4 rows, and here's what they are. They're also on there. 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. 1, 2, 3. That was the first row. Second row, boom, 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 emerald, sapphire, and a diamond. Third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, onyx, and a jasper. And they were enclosed in little pouches of gold in their enclosings. And their stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, everyone with his name according to the 12 tribes. And what I get from it is that the little stones were also engraved with the names of the children of Israel. Not really sure, depending on where you go with the writing and what version you read. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the ends of the woven work of pure gold. And they made 2 pouches of gold, 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate, so they could mount stuff on it and mount it on other things. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate, and the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 pouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. And they made 2 other golden rings and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the fourth part of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. Curious meaning very, very unique, very special, very one of a kind. If you've heard the word prototype, we see that out in the manufacturing world. You get a lot of prototypes in that do just one job, and they've been made just for that job. And they did bind the breastplate by the rings into the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loose from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. So everything was to be sturdy and tight. You know, kind of like when you're lifting weights and the bench bends. You know, we had another, I don't want to say loss this week. We lost, not only did we lose a bar, but we bent one of our benches. You know, they just don't make things like they used to. I don't know what the problem is with weightlifting equipment. It's just the way it is, you know. What do they expect? You know, you buy weight equipment, and you're going to have bears on the stuff, and the stuff bends. So, and they don't want the stuff bending. They want it to be nice and tight. And they made the robe of the ephod of woven work, olive blue. I like blue. Blue and green. Those are like my 2 favorite colors. And there was an hole in the midst of the robe, as the hole of an habergeon, with a band round about the hole, that it should not rend. That's always a good die. Have these little things right here. You can see them, so that when you pull on the lace, I've yanked the lace out of this one, so it doesn't rip the material, like a little collet thing here. Okay. Verse 24, and they made upon the items of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and twine linen, and they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates, so that you could, like they put bells on cows, and sometimes I put little Christmas reindeer bells on our old first generation St. Bernard. Now our second generation St. Bernard, well, yeah, he got to have some Christmas bells too, but he ripped them off. They didn't last long. But it's kind of nice to know where they're at with little bells. And that's what they did with the priest's little robe. So you kind of knew where they're at, wiggling around in the tabernacle tent. And a bell and a pomegranate, and a bell and a pomegranate round about the hem of the robe, to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made coats of fine line of woven work for Aaron and for his sons, and a mitre for the fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen. I'm sorry, we got a little baby bear in here, and he chews and eats everything from plastic to wood to metal, and the benches and the carpets, and his animals that he brings in here. But that's an animal. What does an animal do? Animals make noises. Like he's a bear, you know. Bears make noises. Anyway, so they had mitres, had kind of like the tall Pope's hat. You know, some version you read, it says turban. I'm not really sure about turban, but kind of like this, you know. Hats. This is our mitre in the USA, kind of the baseball cap thing. And they made long johns out of linen. You know, I like to wear long johns. You guys probably do too. Year round, it's pretty nice. 29, and a girdle of fine twined linen, blue and purple and scarlet of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing like to the engravings of a signet, holiness to the Lord, or holy to to the Lord, because that's what the priest was supposed to be. And they tied unto it a lace of blue to fasten it upon the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, all the furniture, his tacks, the boards, the bars, pillars, and sockets, the coverings of the ram skins dyed red, and the covering of badger skins, and the veil of the covering, badger skins being very, very watertight, because badgers do a lot of swimming in the water, so it's kept things really tight. The ark of the testimony and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat, the table and all the vessels thereof, the showbread, the pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and all the oil for the light, and the golden altar, the anointing oil, the sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door, the brazen altar, and his grate of brass, his staves, and all his vessels, the laver, and his foot. The hangings of the court, his pillars, his sockets, hangings for the court gate, the cords, the pins, all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation. The cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments to minister in the priest's office, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Israel made all the work. And Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. That's definitely a time of blessing. They just completed out a very serious endeavor, like putting a roof on your house. If you ever put a roof on your house, going from the time period where you're ordering the big luggers to hold all the old roofing, if you have 4 or 5 layers of roofing on your roof, and the gutters, and and everything, to planning, to going to your favorite depot or lumber yard to get the materials, and you're scoping it out, and then finally you get to the tear off, and then resheathing the whole roof, and and once you finally, I guess my point is, once you finally put that last shingle on there, or you put your ridge cap, along your cobra guard on the top, on the ridge, and it's finally done, you say, praise the Lord Jesus, it's finally done. And I'm sure they probably did very much of that. That was a huge endeavor. And so next time we'll be in chapter 40, and we'll talk about some more things, and kind of things that are broken down and how they're going to do it. And but this was a huge endeavor. This was like a manufacturing facility out in the middle of nowhere. So they had to come up with everything from the bricks to making a little forge and a stack with clay and fire and gathering steel and metals. And this was a huge endeavor. Anyway, God bless you guys. This has been like a construction project Bible day. Everything is kind of with a little bit of linen and artistry. And a lot of this is just way over my head. I can only give you a brief description of it because I can't totally picture in my mind how this might look. But whatever it was beautiful because it was a picture of the tabernacle in the heavens. So God bless you guys. Until next time, from Knut and I know he feels the same. He wishes you blessings as well. So, auf Wiedersehen, das Vidania. Until we meet again, God bless you folks. From the Bears Gym, we'll see you.